I woke up inside the body of the male lead in a tragic romance novel. After slogging through the entire storyline, I was on my way home when I overheard my daughter say, "Mom, we finally don't have to pretend with Dad anymore." To my shock, Willow gave a soft smile and said, "Shall I find you a new dad?" My daughter nodded eagerly. Hearing this, my heart leapt with a strange joy. I pushed the door open and said, "I agree to the divorce. Why wait any longer? The Civil Affairs Bureau will close soon." Chapter 1 stood outside the children's room, clutching a cake in my hands. The door was slightly ajar, and I could hear snippets of their conversation. "Mom, will I never get sick again?" My daughter Anna's voice rang out. "Yes," Willow replied, her voice tender, a tone she reserved just for Anna. "The storyline is over. There will be no more deviations, so you won't be punished with sickness anymore." "And what about Uncle Makoto?" Anna asked, her voice brimming with excitement. "It's all Dad's fault. Uncle Makoto could only sneak around because of him. If there were no Dad, we wouldn't have to do things we don't like. Mom could openly be with Uncle Makoto. Mom, now that the storyline is over, can you divorce Dad?" My hand gripping the cake box started to ache from the strain. In the gift bag, I had the limited edition Barbie doll I'd spent a month tracking down. There was a pause in the children's room. It felt like Willow hesitated before she softly said, "Yes, I'll divorce your father. Today is your birthday. I'll tell him in a few days." Chapter 2 Anna's excited cheers slipped through the crack in the door, chilling me to my core. 8 years ago, I'd agreed to the system's deal to save my wife and son from a car accident. I was thrown into this tragic storyline, forced to follow the plot to a T. Any deviations, and the system would punish me mildly with sickness, or worse, with fatal accidents that could rip me from this world. But when I stuck to the script, I earned points that could help wake my wife and son. I wasn't the perfect host. I met Willow at 19, fumbling through life. By 22, we were married and Anna was born. Just when I thought we were nearing the end of the storyline, Willow grew colder, picking fights constantly. I started getting sick more often, sometimes so bad I could barely see or hear. Anna, my daughter, felt the system's punishments too, suffering a fraction of my pain. She cried day and night, her tiny body weakening. Desperate, I told Willow about the system. If she strayed from the plot again, I'd die, and so would Anna. We'd only be free once the storyline ended. 5 years remained at that point. Willow stopped her petty tantrums, but when we argued, Anna and I would get sick. I felt so ashamed for putting my daughter through that. But Anna was a trooper, eating her meals and taking her medicine without complaint. Slowly, we grew closer. A few days ago, the system announced the storyline was complete. I told Willow we were free from its control, that we could live as we wanted. I could leave this world or stay. Selfishly, I wanted to stay for Anna, to be there until she was grown. But reality hit me like a truck. Chapter 3 I turned, tossed the cake and toys in the trash, and pushed the door open. "I agree to the divorce," I said. Looking at Anna, I added, "Anna, now I realize you've always wanted to trade me for a new dad. It must have been hard for you and your mom to stay with me." A flush of embarrassed anger crossed Anna's small face as her lie was laid bare. She couldn't lie well, couldn't hide her thoughts. She stuck out her neck and accused me. "Daddy was eavesdropping." "Bad Daddy? I don't like you because you're bad." Even though I'd braced myself, hearing my daughter, my precious gem, say she hated me with her own lips sent emotions surging through me. Willow looked surprised but didn't stop Anna. She took a moment to steady herself, then nodded. "All right, sorry for deceiving you with Anna for so long. Let's divorce then. I can't wait to marry Makoto." Anna snorted and said loudly, "Me too! Uncle Makoto is so nice, but Daddy chased him away for no reason." "I don't want this kind of daddy." I felt utterly crushed. Years ago, Makoto tried to harm Anna multiple times. Even if the plot didn't require it, I'd have found a way to get rid of him for her sake. I thought I'd succeeded. But now, it seems I was the one fooled. "Warning!" A piercing buzz exploded in my head. Plot deviation detected at the ending. Major character misalignment. The system's alarm blared. Host, please repair the plot within 7 days, or the plot will be forcibly terminated. My head throbbed as I questioned the system internally. "System, what is happening?" I called out urgently. "Sorry, host. It seems we've both been deceived. the system's mechanical voice said slowly. The plot monitoring is conducted from the host's perspective, and this is the first time a character has deceived the system. I overlooked this. However, since the system also failed to detect the character's anomaly, I will take partial responsibility. Even if the plot is not repaired within 7 days, you will still receive your points. A small wave of relief hit me. When I snapped back to reality, Willow and Anna were staring at me nervously. They knew my zoned-out moments meant I was talking to the system. The system again? What's going on? Isn't the plot over? Willow's voice was uneasy. It won't punish Anna and Makoto, will it? Anna covered her mouth, her big eyes darting around. I take back what I just said. I waited a moment. Seeing neither of them seemed worried about me, I gave a bitter smile. No, it won't, I said. And Anna, happy birthday. Your birthday gift is your freedom. I gave up on fixing the plot. I'd wait out the 7 days and let the system eject me when the plot repair failed. Chapter 4, Willow didn't waste a second. She didn't care about the 30-day divorce cooling-off period and filed through the courts. When she got the divorce certificate and was about to leave, I couldn't help but ask Anna, Anna, if you never see your father again, will you be sad? Anna was pouring tea for her doll, playing house, and said without looking up, Daddy, are you starting again? You drove away Uncle Makoto with that line, forcing Mom to stay with you. Are you trying to force me now? I froze. I'd said that too many plot deviations could kill me, but I never said the world would collapse if the plot became too irrational. The host and characters were supposed to support each other to survive. I hid the truth, afraid it would scare Willow and Anna. Slowly I said, Anna, I won't say it again. But Daddy really is going to leave this world. You're so annoying. Anna grabbed the tea set and threw it at me, her little face full of impatience. Disappear! Disappear! Then just go away. The teacup hit the corner of my eye and a flood of emotions, sweet, bitter, sour, overwhelmed me. I felt lightheaded, unsteady. The plot had shifted again. I took a deep breath and reached out to touch Anna's hair. She dodged, moving to another spot to play with her dolls. I sighed. All right, you have Uncle Makoto to keep you company anyway. I stepped outside and stood by the road, waiting for a ride. A sports car roared up and stopped beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Makoto's handsome, arrogant face, Willow's unforgettable first love. I was supposed to be the stand-in male lead, erasing his influence so Willow would love the real me. Clearly, I'd failed. They'd teamed up to deceive me. George, long time no see, Makoto said, his smile smug. He pulled out a ring box, opened it to reveal a heart-shaped pink diamond, and said, Unlike you, I'm not so stingy that I can't even buy a diamond ring for Willow. We picked this pink diamond together. Willow and I are getting married the day after tomorrow. You must come. Looking at the diamond, I couldn't help but laugh. When I married Willow, the plot demanded I buy her a heart-shaped pink diamond. But she said no matter how brilliant a diamond looked, it was just an illusion, flashy and worthless. I wanted to discuss it, not wanting to leave regrets for our wedding, but she shook her head, pouted as if angry, and said a tacky thing like a diamond wasn't worthy of her. She wanted a simple gold ring instead. I thought it was a small thing, so I went against the plot. The next day I was punished, fell down the stairs, and spent 3 months recovering. At the time I was confused. How could a minor deviation like a different adjective cause such a harsh punishment? Now I see. The pink diamond was crucial to the plot. It wasn't that the diamond was unworthy of Willow. It was that I wasn't worthy of buying one for her. Congratulations, I said flatly. A white light flashed before my eyes and that weightless feeling hit again. At this rate, I wouldn't last 7 days before being ejected from this world. I heard from Willow you're bringing up the old story again, saying you're going to disappear, Makoto sneered. But the plot is over. Isn't it a bit far-fetched to keep saying that? I ignored him. The plot deviation was irreversible now. This world was about to collapse. Chapter 5, the 6th to last day. I didn't bother renting an apartment. I checked into a luxury hotel, planning to lie down and wait for the plot to crumble. The plot monitoring is conducted from the host's perspective, the system's prompt suddenly chimed in. I glanced at the TV, which was showing news of Willow's upcoming wedding, and hummed in acknowledgement. I turned off the TV and opened my phone, where their sweet smiles plastered gossip channels. How much love must they have to want the whole world to see it? The system continued. Since the monitoring is from the host's perspective, the host must personally witness Willow and Makoto's wedding for the system to assess the deviation from the plot. I blinked and sat up straight. No wonder I hadn't felt the weightlessness today. System, don't you think you have a bug? I asked helplessly. The system paused. This system will apply for an upgrade. But if it weren't for this bug, given the host's abilities, it wouldn't have been possible to reach the plot's conclusion. I was choked by its words. Host, please quickly witness the plot. The system's mechanical voice carried a hint of reluctance. Soon you'll be able to leave this world. Day 5. I wore a simple white shirt to Willow's wedding, set on a white sandy beach. The weather was clear, a gentle breeze blowing. The venue was a sea of flowers, the walkway covered in pink petals. The system, worried I might cause a scene, suggested I wear a mask and sunglasses for disguise. I smiled and declined. I found a seat near the front, waiting for the ceremony to start. From this angle, I'd clearly see Willow and Makoto's expressions. Host, actually, The system was unusually chatty today. I shook my head. Don't worry about me. Actually, they don't care about me, and that's a relief. It's definitely sad, but I'm more excited about the life waiting for me when I return. With that, I picked up a napkin from the table, folded it a few times, and turned it into a little bear, showing it to the system. Look, every time my son throws a tantrum, I fold a little bear like this to cheer him up. Luckily, I haven't forgotten this skill. I held up the bear, inspecting it. A familiar soft voice spoke behind me. Daddy, why are you here? I turned and saw Anna in an adorable flower girl dress, holding a flower basket with a pink ring box inside. Instinctively, I reached out to hug her, but pulled back before touching her. Anna's expression was guarded. She clutched the basket and said bluntly, You're not here to break up Mommy and chase away Uncle Makoto again, are you? People around us turned to stare. I smiled. Anna, you're mistaken. It was your Uncle Makoto who invited me to the wedding. Anna froze, surprised by my response, fidgeting with her dress. Then she saw the bear in my hand and said, Daddy, what's that? She reached for it. I gently pushed her away. Anna, this isn't your toy. You can't just take it. Her eyes widened. She set the basket down and stubbornly grabbed my hand. Daddy, I want to play with it, a voice called out from behind. I turned and saw Willow in a pure white wedding dress standing there. She sneered. George, using little tricks to win Anna over won't work. Chapter 6 looked at her coldly and said, You're overthinking this. This is something I made for my son. Willow froze. Then her usual icy expression returned. George, have you gone mad? First you disappear and now you've made up a son. What's next? Are you going to tell me you have another wife too? If I insist on marrying Makoto, will you vanish and go live with your imaginary wife and son? She seemed to find this hilarious. George, you're disgusting. It was bad enough you lied to me, but now you're lying to a child too. Don't worry. You won't go anywhere for the rest of your life. You'll get to watch me, Makoto, and Anna live happily together. I didn't respond and sat back in my chair. She grabbed Anna's hand, picked up the flower basket, gave me one last look, and left quickly. The murmurs around me grew louder. I kept my focus inward, waiting for the ceremony to begin. Makoto entered, dressed in a sharp suit. When he saw me, a smirk tugged at his lips before he turned to gaze tenderly at Willow. To the sound of romantic music, he knelt, proposed, and kissed his bride. The warning alarms in my head were deafening, like they'd explode. The weightlessness hit, and even breathing became hard. My organs felt like they were shutting down, shrinking rapidly. I struggled to stay conscious, my eyes glued to the scene unfolding before me. Anna, clutching her flower basket, skipped onto the stage with a carefree bounce. Her voice rang out bright and joyful as she called, Daddy Makoto! Before flinging herself into his arms. Willow, ever the gentle disciplinarian, lightly scolded Anna for her lack of manners. Makoto, his voice warm and full of love, hugged her tightly, calling her his daughter. Warning, warning. The system's voice blared in my head. The storyline is nearing collapse. Host, please fix it immediately. If not, the host will be forcibly removed from this world. I ignored the system's insistent buzzing. Instead, I leaned against the table, resting my head in my hands, and studied Willow's face. She'd always been reserved, even at the peak of our romance, but now, Now she looked happier, more expectant than I'd ever seen her. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Emotions, I guess, are the most incomprehensible things. That's why the system needs real people to live out its storylines. Host, the plot deviation is nearing the limit. The system's voice cut in, right on cue. The deviation is worse than predicted. If there's another stimulus, you could be removed at any moment. I barely managed a grunt of acknowledgement. Host, what I mean is, if you have anything to say or do, you won't have time if you wait any longer. I glanced at Willow and Anna, their faces glowing with smiles. Slowly, I let go of the weight I'd been carrying. There's nothing I need to say or do, I murmured. When it's time to leave, just take me away. The ceremony had reached its emotional peak. Makoto took the ring box from Anna's flower basket, opened it, and froze. It was empty. His eyes snapped to mine, and he signaled for the music to stop. The ring is gone, he announced. Every head turned toward me. Their suspicious stares bored into me, like I was some kind of thief. Anna reacted first, her childish voice piercing the silence. Just now I was holding the flower basket and went to find Daddy. Willow, biting her lip and clutching her skirt in frustration, glared at me. George, you took it, didn't you? Give back the ring! Makoto, playing the peacemaker, shook his head with a forced look of conflict. George must be joking with us, he said, but I could barely stand, let alone argue back. My silence only fueled Willow's anger. I knew it, she spat, storming toward me. You're lying to me again. She grabbed my arm, her voice rising. Attending the wedding was just a cover. The truth is, you want to ruin my wedding with Makoto. George, you're really disgusting. I mustered all my strength, but all I could manage was a faint, tired smile. Anna ran over, her little fists and feet flailing at me. It didn't hurt, but my clothes were soon smudged with dirt. Bad Daddy, she shrieked. You're ruining everything again. Daddy only hurts others. You only spoil the fun. I don't want you, Daddy, just disappear. Her words hit like a blade. Then the world froze. The pain, the weightlessness, even my sadness, it all vanished. Everyone's movements halted, suspended in time. Warning, the plot has collapsed. Host George will be ejected from this world in 5 seconds. The system's monotonous voice echoed. I watched quietly as my soul began to detach from my body. 5. Willow's nails were still digging into my arm, her grip tight. If time hadn't frozen, I'd probably be in agony. 4. Anna, like an angry kitten, had her cheeks puffed out, red and fierce, baring her teeth. 3. Makoto stood on the platform, leaning down slightly, a faint smirk on his face. I noticed a glimmer of pink in his suit pocket, a gem. It hit me. He'd hidden the pink diamond all along. 2. I glanced around. Contempt, disdain. That's what I saw in their eyes. Half alive, Anna stopped kicking. She didn't understand the schemes of adults, but she sensed something was wrong in my stillness. She poked my leg with her finger, a little secret we had. Whenever I played house with her and pretended to sleep, she'd poke me and I'd wake up. But this time, no matter how much she poked, I felt nothing. My eyes stayed shut. No! No! Anna's voice trembled with fear. She tugged at Willow's skirt. Mom, Dad, enough! Willow screamed, her voice raw and hysterical. I'm so sick of this. It's all because I've been too stupid, too easy to fool, that he always lies to me, always tricks me. George, you love to fake things? Fine, keep faking. I don't care at all. She shoved me hard, expecting my body to react, to protect itself. But I was already gone. My body crashed to the ground with a sickening thud. My head bounced half an inch off the floor, then hit again. It was pathetic. Even I felt sorry for myself. Not exactly a dignified exit. People around me started screaming. Someone shouted to call 120 for an ambulance, another to call the police. Others pulled out their phones, eagerly filming the chaos. Willow's face stayed resolute, unmoved. Even when Anna threw herself onto my body, screaming Daddy in terror, Willow's expression didn't waver. Even when Makoto rushed down to check my breathing, her face remained unchanged. Even as people shouted, he's dead! And, does anyone know CPR? Willow didn't so much as glance at me. The ambulance arrived, taking my body and a now unconscious, crying Anna away. No one answered when the doctor asked if any family would ride along, so they left. I hesitated, unsure whether to follow the ambulance or stay. Willow stood there, cold as ice, oblivious to the world shifting around her, like she was trapped in a dream. No one dared approach her, not even Makoto. The crowd slowly dispersed. Only then did Willow seem to stir, coming back to life. I floated in front of her, studying her face. Those familiar features, just as delicate and beautiful as they were 8 years ago. But now her eyes carried a layer of sorrow. What was Willow troubled by? It had to be our marriage. I was just her stand-in, but somehow I became her husband. At first I went to great lengths, staging chance encounters, pouring my heart out like a lovesick fool. She'd give me that faint smile, like she saw through every plan. Even so, she went on dates with me, playing out the storyline again and again. For a moment I thought I'd melted her icy exterior, but then Makoto appeared, and Willow drifted further away, especially after I told her about the system. A wall went up between us overnight. I tried desperately to tear it down, but she kept rebuilding it. Even Anna questioned my feelings. This outcome, me gone, them together, must be what they both wanted. Anna's still young, scared of loss. A few toys from Makoto and she'll be fine. But why isn't Willow happy? I leaned closer, studying her face. Her eyelashes hung low, droplets of water clinging to them. Her lips trembled like she wanted to laugh, or maybe cry. After a long pause, she whispered, "George." Her voice broke. "This time it's real." "No, it can't be. You're still lying to me." Suddenly, she grabbed the car keys and rushed out. By the time we reached the hospital, the doctor had confirmed my brain death. "No need for resuscitation." Anna, awake now, sobbed and hiccuped, repeating, "I don't want Daddy to go. I don't want Daddy to disappear." The nurses tried to comfort her, but when they heard she'd been kicking me and wishing I'd disappear when I died, their expressions turned cold. No one went to her. "Mommy!" Anna cried, running to Willow like she was her savior. "They're not saving Daddy. They said Daddy is dead." "Mommy, it must be because we weren't good. That's why Daddy died." Willow's eyes reddened. She muttered, "What?" Ignoring the staff, she rushed into the emergency room. There I was, lifeless on the cold operating table. The doctor shook his head. "I'm sorry for your loss." Willow, refusing to accept it, grabbed his wrist. "Impossible. He has a system. How could he die so easily?" The doctor eyed her warily. "What system?" Willow, dazed, replied, "The system. Unless I stop loving him, he can't die." The doctor's expression grew stranger. He stepped back. "Do you love him?" Willow lowered her face. Seizing the chance, the doctor pulled his hand free and backed away further. "Are you his family?" "He's been confirmed dead. You should prepare for the cremation." Willow stared, incredulous. "No, you don't understand." "The system, unless." The doctor, patience exhausted, cut her off. "First, madam, I don't know what this system is. Second, as far as I know, the deceased's time of death was during your wedding with someone else." With that, he hurried out. Willow looked at me, lost. She let out a bitter laugh. "George, I admit it, you scared me." "Fine, you win. I won't marry Makoto. Is that enough? Can you wake up now?" She poked my face. "System, I know you can hear me. Bring George back. Anna can't live without her dad." But no one answered. Willow kept muttering, lost in her role, unable to believe I was really gone. I floated out aimlessly. Anna was curled up in a chair, hugging her legs, sobbing uncontrollably. Makoto, now in different clothes, hurried over and sat beside her, gently reaching out. "Uncle Makoto." Anna looked up, tears streaming as she threw herself into his arms. "Daddy is dead. What am I supposed to do?" Makoto's expression was unreadable. He patted her back. "Don't be afraid. Uncle will be here with you." Anna lifted her tear-streaked face. "Uncle Makoto, I just thought about it. Daddy didn't even touch the flower basket. It was you who told me to take the flower basket to Daddy. The ring was lost. It wasn't Daddy's fault." Makoto stiffened, looking away. Uncle also believes your daddy is innocent, but Anna wouldn't let it go. But Daddy is dead. Because of Mommy and me." I watched, my heart heavy. Anna was more emotional, more perceptive than Willow. But she was so young, so easy to deceive. "Anna, what are you saying?" Makoto forced a smile. "Your daddy died from a sudden heart attack." "No," Anna said, staring stubbornly at him. Daddy was killed by me, Mommy, and you, Uncle Makoto. Makoto's expression cracked. Whispers spread among the onlookers. Anna, he said, raising his voice, your daddy insisted on coming to the wedding. He couldn't handle the shock and died. How could that be my fault? Anna never responded well to pressure. She pushed him away, jumped to the ground, and shrieked, Uncle Makoto told me to make Daddy angry. That's why Daddy died. Uncle Makoto and Mommy and I, we all knew. If we left Daddy, he would die. The bystanders, pretending to scroll their phones, turned their shocked gazes toward Makoto. He reached to cover Anna's mouth, but it was too late. We killed Daddy, Anna cried. Daddy is dead. Makoto cursed under his breath. He'd warned Willow not to tell Anna about the system. A child with such unpredictable moods could never help them fool it. But Willow insisted Anna was mature enough that people would believe a child's words. Makoto had agreed, even found it amusing when Anna's betrayal cut me deepest. What could be more crushing than your daughter turning against you? But he hadn't expected me to die so soon, right at his wedding. In a twisted way, it was a blessing. No more worrying about me or the system. As long as he handled Anna carefully, the future was his. Anna, keep your voice down, Makoto said softly. You know, no one will believe there's a system in this world. Anna's sobbing stopped. Her eyes filled with a strange, hopeless emotion like an abandoned kitten. I floated beside her, wanting to touch her, but my hand passed through. My dear Anna. Even as a soul, my sorrow lingered. Later that evening, Willow took Anna home, Makoto trailing behind. The driver was silent. Anna, exhausted from crying, slept in Willow's arms. Makoto wanted to speak, but Willow, her face cold as ice, bit her lip and stayed quiet. When they reached home, the nanny took Anna upstairs. On the first floor, only Willow and Makoto remained. Makoto spoke first, his voice soft but heavy. Willow, I didn't expect things to turn out this way. The plot was supposed to be over, so why did this happen? Willow's eyes dropped, her silence loud as she quietly stared at her fingers, twisting them nervously. Makoto's tone was laced with worry. Willow, this has hit Anna too hard. She still believes that we caused George's... He trailed off, then added, but wasn't the plot over? Maybe this was just an unfortunate coincidence. Willow closed her eyes, her voice barely a whisper. Before the divorce, George was momentarily absent-minded. Anna and I both suspected that the system had reappeared, but we didn't pay attention. We still decided to confront George. Makoto hesitated, then said, but Anna is okay, right? If it were a system punishment, Anna would have been hurt too. Willow pressed her hands to her eyes. Pain etched across her face. I don't know. Why? I just didn't want to be controlled by the system anymore. I wanted to make a decision freely for once. I only did it this one time, and he died. Makoto's heart ached seeing her like this. He stepped closer, arms open to hug her. Don't blame yourself too much. Maybe it really was just a coincidence. Willow took 2 steps back, her bitter smile barely holding back tears that slid from the corners of her eyes. A coincidence? How is that possible? Makoto, I watched the wedding footage. It's clear as day. George sat there the whole time. There's no way he went to get the ring. Makoto's lips pressed into a tight line. I was surprised too. I didn't expect Willow to investigate and gather evidence. But what does she mean by making a decision freely for once? Before we got married, when I proposed, I never mentioned the system's existence. So I always thought she was with me because she had fallen in love with me too. But now she says those choices were decisions she was forced to make. Love is voluntary. Not loving is what's forced. I was confused. System, I said. Can you check Willow's affection level? The system's response was quick. In principle, I'm not allowed to tell the host. In reality, ahem, with a full score of 100, you raised Willow's affection to 99. I chuckled, disbelief in my voice. That can't be right. Look at this. Does this seem like 99 affection points to you? Is this another bug? The system went silent for a long time before answering. This is why real people need to experience the plot. Human emotions are complex. No matter how advanced the system, it can't handle them. I let out a breath, the weight of it sinking in. Soon I understood Willow's emotions. She was such a proud person, yet she fell in love with someone trapped by a system, someone who had no choice but to be with her. On one hand, she wanted to follow her heart and stay with the person she loved. On the other hand, Her pride told her that this kind of helpless, selfless love wasn't something she wanted. Willow wanted to love me but resisted loving me at the same time. So conflicted, so torn. Chapter 12, it was late at night. Makoto insisted several times that they were already married, that he wanted to stay the night. But Willow still had the driver take him home. After sitting downstairs for a while, Willow climbed the stairs to Anna's room. 3 days ago, she'd been in this room arguing with George. Now George was dead. She walked to the bed but didn't see Anna. She called for the nanny, who whispered, "Anna believes that because she said bad things about Mr. George in this room, that's why he left her." Anna went to sleep in Mr. George's room. Willow headed to George's room. She'd never paid much attention to it before. Now, in the dim night with the lights off, she felt she could see everything clearly. The water glass on the bedside table, the drawer that wasn't fully closed, the watch left on the windowsill. Everything was still there. How could George be so cruel as to leave this world? How could he bear to do it? Willow wanted to be angry, to smash everything, to vent her inner panic and confusion. But in the end, she just walked to the bed, looked at the sleeping Anna, and gave her a gentle kiss on the cheek. Then she tucked her in. She didn't deserve this. I brought this on myself, unable to get past my own heart. Willow didn't want to admit it, but she had to. She loved George. She was the one who was truly afraid that once George was free from the system's control, he would leave her. So she left first. She wanted to see how George would react, but she never expected that George really didn't care. He agreed to the divorce without hesitation. In a fit of anger, she announced her remarriage. George actually showed up at her wedding. She was so furious. Then she held Makoto's hand and let him embrace her. Finally, she kissed Makoto. She even recognized Makoto as her husband. She swore she would love him for the rest of her life. Willow had known all along that George was watching her. He was watching her closely, and she proudly put on her performance, until George's face turned pale and his eyes lost focus. At that moment, Willow knew she had made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But her pride wouldn't let her back down first. She knew George could have ruined the wedding if he had wanted to, but there was no need. Yet she simply couldn't stay on that stage any longer, so she came down. Originally, she had wanted to force George to say what was on his mind, to take her away from the wedding and tell her how much he loved her. But once again, she was wrong. She had pushed George the wrong way, and now George was dead because of her. One test, one hurt after another. In the end, it led to an irreversible conclusion. Willow deeply regretted it. Regret that was driving her mad. There was no one to hear her confession, and no one to forgive her. She stood by the large window in George's room looking outside. From this angle, she could see the front gate, the garden, and the fish pond. George had specifically placed a lounge chair by the window. Willow lay down on it. It was comfortable indeed, but she couldn't find any joy in it. The view was mediocre, nothing particularly beautiful to look at, and the chair wasn't facing the garden or the pond. It was facing the front gate. What's so special about the gate? Willow thought as she rocked the chair. What could the gate possibly show? It was where George could see Anna and Willow coming home first. Chapter 13, it was late at night. I watched as Anna insisted on sleeping in my bed, and I watched Willow pacing around my room, eventually lying down in the chair I often used, slowly falling asleep. I found it odd. They never came to my room before. Now that I'm dead, they come. Even the system didn't understand this behavior. After analyzing it for a while, it made a crackling noise like it was malfunctioning. "All right, take a break, stop analyzing." I sighed. "Is the exit passage ready?" "Almost," the system replied. "Once you leave, there's no coming back." I gave a soft hum. "Will this world be destroyed?" The system started analyzing again. "The plot has collapsed, so the world must be destroyed. However, the system will first investigate and submit a bug report for an upgrade request. So the world will continue to exist briefly." I floated to Willow's side, quietly observing her profile. After 8 years, I realized I never truly understood her. I had failed completely. What exactly was the 99% of her love? I still didn't know. With a sigh, I floated over to Anna. She was sleeping restlessly. Perhaps she was having a nightmare, her brow furrowed, her lips tightly pressed together. I couldn't touch her. I couldn't smooth her forehead. I leaned close to Anna's ear and whispered softly, "Anna is just a child." "You must be scared too. Daddy doesn't blame you. You're still Daddy's little girl." The system went quiet. I floated around the room watching Willow, watching Anna, drifting in thought. A few hours later, the system suddenly returned, saying the passage was ready. I took one last look at this familiar space. Let's go. Chapter 14, The Real World. 3 years later, I rarely think about the plot world anymore. My daily life consists of going to work, playing with my son, and joking with my wife. Just like most ordinary families, we live an ordinary life. Simple, yet happy. Since I gave the system, which frequently bugged out, a good rating, it occasionally rewards me with points. The points can be exchanged for luck in the real world. For example, winning the lottery, getting a promotion, a raise, or maintaining good health. It's a small perk. Chapter 15, one afternoon, the system suddenly came online. "George, the system's investigation is complete. The plot world will soon collapse." I had just woken up from a nap. I hummed an acknowledgement, then hesitated, asking, "How are they doing?" The system paused. "In principle, I'm not allowed to tell the host. In reality, Willow refuses to see Makoto anymore and spends her days working and spending time with Anna. And visiting your grave, burning offerings." I almost choked on my own saliva. The system continued. "Anna was heartbroken for a long time and couldn't get over it. It took her a year to accept your death and start living normally again. Like Willow, Anna doesn't want to see Makoto anymore. She's just too scared to visit your grave. She still feels like she's the one who killed you, too afraid to face you." I sighed. As for Makoto, the system's tone was flat. He harassed Willow countless times, either showing up at her workplace or banging on her door late at night. The last time, he got drunk and ambushed Willow on her way home in the middle of the night. After that, Willow called the police, and he ended up with a record and lost his job. Now he drifts through life aimlessly. I remained silent. After a long pause, the system said, "Willow had a lot she wanted to say to you, so she wrote it in letters and burned them at your grave. Do you want to read them? They're full of things about the two of you and her feelings for you." I didn't think twice and refused immediately. The system didn't understand. "Aren't you curious why she treated you that way? Why she conspired with Makoto to deceive the system and deceive you? Aren't you curious what that 99% love of hers really looked like?" I kept shaking my head. The system's mechanical voice was filled with confusion. "Human emotions are so strange. This system thought Willow didn't love you, but it turns out she did. This system thought you'd feel unsatisfied, that you'd want a clear answer, but you don't. Strange, very strange." I shrugged. "What's so strange about it?" The system asked, "Why don't you want that answer?" I gathered my thoughts. "For systems like yours, the primary task is to figure out definitions, to judge yes or no. But humans are not rational animals. They're slaves to their emotions. I don't know what Willow was thinking or how she was loving her George. But during those years I spent as her George, I genuinely felt pain and coldness." So George got his answer. It wasn't love. At least it wasn't the kind of love George needed. And since it wasn't what he needed, he could leave. There's no need to verify something unnecessary. Isn't that simple? The system made a faint buzzing sound as it processed. A few seconds later, it said, "Love is love. Not loving is not loving." The system doesn't understand. I burst out laughing. First of all, love is joy. Secondly, if I had verified it and found out that Willow did indeed love George, but George was still in agony and pain. Finally, system, let me ask you, do you think a love that causes so much suffering fits your definition of love? The system crashed again. Chapter 16. I refused the system's offer to show me those letters Willow had burned for me multiple times. It was very eager to study my reaction. I refused again. The system finally gave up. But it still thought my refusal was worth studying. As compensation, it continued giving me more points. It allowed me to live a comfortable and abundant life, so it could keep studying. Chapter 17, a year later, the system's upgrade report finally got approved. After the complete upgrade, the system figured something out. Willow's George was already dead. The George in the real world was still alive. The heavy burdens from the plot world shouldn't be forced onto the real George. The system felt guilty. It gave George a huge amount of points. so much that George worried he might live to be 200 years old. Maybe he'd even be studied as a freak. Chapter 18, many years later, the system was busy handling other hosts, rarely making an appearance. George was quite content with this peaceful life. In the end, life is long and worth loving.